Have you ever wondered why some men disappear from a woman's memory like fog in sunlight, while others leave a trace that never fades? It's not about jawlines, jokes, or flashy displays. It's about the feeling they create. Most men live in reaction, hustling for approval, over explaining, performing to be chosen. A stoic man moves differently. He doesn't perform, he simply is. That quiet certainty, that inner steadiness, that's what lingers. That's what she remembers. Today, we'll unpack 6 qualities that make a man unforgettable. These aren't tricks, they're character. They're behaviors grounded in self mastery. They're the things that leave an impression long after the small talk ends. Number 1, emotional mastery. She never forgets the man who controls his responses. Think about how most men behave when they feel slighted. Voices rise, messages are fired off, attempts to prove a point multiply. The stoic man does the opposite. He breathes, he observes, he answers with measured calm. Marcus Aurelius taught that we have power over our minds, not over external events. A man who lives by that understanding becomes unshakable. Picture a scenario. She says something sharp to test you, a throwaway line meant to provoke. Most men pounce. A rare man simply meets it with silence, a slight smile, or the quiet phrase, "I get it," and moves on. That composed silence lands differently. It communicates safety. It signals that you are not a hostage to emotion, and safety is unforgettable, not because you dominate, but because you offer peace. Peace sticks. Number 2, deep listening. She never forgets the man who listens more than he speaks. We live in a world where everyone wants to be heard, opinions shouted, interruptions normalized. A man who truly listens stands apart. He doesn't just wait for his turn to talk. He attends to tone, to the spaces between words, to what isn't being said. Presence, real presence, is rare. When she speaks and you are fully there, not planning a reply, not distracted, you tell her something powerful without saying a thing. You matter enough for my silence. That silence isn't empty, it's heavy with attention. When a woman experiences that focused listening, she connects warmth, respect, and emotional safety to you. That is how real bonds form, through the small, consistent act of witnessing someone. Listening well is a kind of love in action, and she remembers it. Number 3, graceful exit. She never forgets the man who walks away with dignity. Endings are revealing. When rejected, many men try to bargain, to argue, to wrest closure. A stoic man's value isn't tethered to winning a fight or salvaging every outcome. He can say, "I wish you well," and step back, without drama, without rage. That is not defeat, it is mastery. Why does that echo? Because she expected chaos and got calm. She expected theatrics and met composure. The image of a man who lets go with dignity is dissonant in a culture that often rewards emotional volatility. That quiet ability to release, to preserve self-worth without clutching, triggers a kind of respect in her that isn't always spoken, but is always remembered. Walking away peacefully shows you belong to yourself. Number 4, a life of purpose. She never forgets the man who lives for something greater than a relationship. A stoic man's center is not another person. It's a mission, a work, a craft, a path that gives his days meaning. Epictetus taught that service to a principle brings structure, that purpose demands sacrifice and focus. When a man wakes with goals, builds steadily, and refuses to be derailed by convenience, he radiates certainty. Women notice when a man's life is not arranged around them. It's counterintuitive. When you don't put someone on a pedestal, you become more pedestal worthy. Purpose equals predictability and direction feels safe. If your life has shape and momentum, she knows that joining you requires being earned. That friction, the fact that she must find a place in an already full life, often increases her respect and attraction. Men who build something meaningful create an unforgettable context for connection. Number 5, calm presence. She never forgets the man whose presence soothes rather than stirs. Excitement is fleeting, calm endures. Many relationships ignite in drama, jealousy, and emotional spikes that burn fast and bright. A man who brings calm is different. His energy is like a breath after a long day. When she's with him, she can drop the constant performance. She can be herself. She can rest. Calm presence isn't detachment, it's balance. It's the capacity to be steady when surrounding forces are unstable. When a woman comes to associate you with rest, a place where she can lower her guard, that association is rare and indelible. Peace is precious. Whoever provided it stays in her memory. Number 6, silent forgiveness. She never forgets the man who forgives without drama. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as weakness. In truth, it's strength. When you forgive, you are saying you will not allow bitterness to define you. A stoic man doesn't enact petty revenge. He understands that holding grudges only chains the holder. Marcus Aurelius counseled that one's best revenge is to be unlike the antagonist, to remain oneself. There's an unmistakable dignity in a man who can let grievances go and continue to act with integrity. When she sees you release resentment without grand speeches, she feels respect that deepens over time. Forgiveness shows emotional sovereignty. You are not at the mercy of others' faults. That kind of steadiness is memorable. Putting it together, what makes a man unforgettable? A woman will remember the man who stays composed under pressure, who listens with his whole attention, who can leave without drama, who pursues a mission greater than romance, who offers calm in a chaotic world, and who forgives without poisoning his soul. The unforgettable man is not the loudest. He is the one who carries quiet strength, rooted in virtue rather than validation. This kind of strength doesn't scream for attention. It stands, unbothered by applause. It is not performative. It is habitual. He doesn't sculpt his image for others. He sculpts himself for himself. And that is why she remembers him. Because long after texts fade and photos blur, the memory of a man who didn't lose himself trying to win her persists. A few clarifying images. When she pushes to provoke, you breathe and respond with measured calm. When she speaks, you aren't plotting a comeback, you are present. If she chooses to leave, you offer kindness and step away. No angry spectacle, no bargaining. Your life has a course that you step toward each day. You don't pause your purpose to chase validation. Your presence feels like steady ground. She can trust her feet. If wrongs occur, you forgive not because you condone, but because you refuse to be consumed. Why this matters? A final reflection. Virtue forms an impression that flashy behavior cannot mimic. When a man masters himself, his impulses, his priorities, his presence, he becomes memorable because he's rare. The world trains you to react, to demand attention, to be loud. Choosing peace, purpose, patience, and pardon is countercultural. That countercultural calm is magnetic. If this landed with you, if something in this description lit a small fire, do something small in return, like the video, share it with someone who trains themselves to be better, and subscribe for more lessons where ancient wisdom meets modern life. If you completed this reflection, type in the comments, "Lesson complete," and tell us who in your life embodies this steady path. Closing. Walk your path with quiet confidence. Be the man who doesn't clamor for belonging, but who cultivates it through discipline, empathy, and inner resolve. Because in the end, she won't just remember what you said or how you looked. She'll remember what it felt like to be with a man who held himself together. And that feeling never fades.